Hi, Heather.
Hi,
I'm waiting
Rasha.
for you.
Yes, thank
Just
you.
on time. So, as your teacher and mentor, I like to have these student-teacher conferences regularly. Did you take my advice and prepare some questions for me?
I did. I brought in an outline, and I was looking for some advice and some information from you to make sure I'm on the right track.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is a formative conferences. As we know that there's 3 kinds of formative conferences. Can you tell me about those, please?
Yes, for sure. A formative conference is when the teacher and the students participate in a two-way dialogue. And the purpose in an ESL classroom is to document individual students' growth over time rather than comparing one student to another. It's a good time to compare an individual's accomplishments with the achievement that they've made towards a standardized test like an IELTS or the benchmarks.
Yeah.
But specifically with advice conferences, a student comes with a piece of work that's in progress, and they're looking for some information and some input from the teacher because the teacher is the expert. What we're doing right now is an advice conference.
Yeah.
With a feedback conference, it's a little bit different. The student is looking for validation on a piece of work or on a skill they've been working on, and the teacher wants to provide specific feedback to guide the student in a particular direction towards their goals. And then finally, with the reflection conference, the teacher wants to guide the student to reflect on specific work or skills. And the teacher can use a series of reflective questions to lead the student through the metacognitive process. And hopefully at the end they'll be able to set some goals and monitor how they're doing.
Do you think this form of assessment is appropriate for adult ESL classroom?
I do. It's very difficult to get a good result from a standardized test. Using conferences is a good way to have that one-on-one. It's very individualized.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips to share on making this success?
As a teacher, you should probably plan. You need to commit to a schedule so that all the students get their turn in a rotation and they know what to expect and when to expect it. Also, students will need time to adjust to the new process-oriented style. A lot of students have never been involved in a conference before, like me, and so they need to get used to it before they get over their nervousness. It's a less formal way to do an assessment, but it's important as a teacher to make records just the same. And also it relies heavily on a two-way conversation. So it wouldn't be appropriate for beginner levels because they just don't have the vocabulary to make it work.
So what about classroom management? How are you going to find the time to meet each student?
For sure. Well, it depends on the format that the stakeholders agree on. The school decision makers will influence the assessment in the classroom.
Yeah.
So an example would be in an EAP class, often students are assigned an advisor, and the advisor and the student would meet outside of the classroom time because the classroom is it's too rushed. There's not enough time to do it in the classroom hours.
Yeah.
Another way of doing them would be like a mini conference in the class during the class time. And that works if the class is long, like all morning, every morning. And you would do a 5 to 10 minute conference, and you would maybe do 2 or 3 students each day, and that way the rotation would go through, and you'd cover everybody within a week or 2, and then you would start the rotation again.
Yeah. I mean, some classes, they have like 30 students or 30 people. How can you manage that situation?
Yeah, you have the other students doing small group work,
Right.
and there's a small amount of noise which acts like a privacy barrier.
Yeah.
And then you're in the classroom with the students, and you're either at the student's desk
Yeah, I like
or
this idea.
maybe you're at a reading station where you keep your books or whatever. But the students have to be engaged in something, otherwise the noise level is too loud.
Yeah. If the students are expected to ask questions, what's their role in all of this?
Yeah, so the students need to come prepared. They need to have some questions on a piece of work that they're doing or maybe on some skills that they're developing. Really, the teacher is just there to facilitate.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground. And what's the next step for your class assignment?
Well, I think I've got most of the work done, and now I have to write it. Thank you for your help.
No problem. Thanks very much.